As is a frustratingly recurring theme with the movie industry, is that comic book movies, until recently, were kind of pretty bad. And a lot of the time, it really frustrates me as a comic book fan that you can mess up such an excellent premise most of the time. And there are a bunch of different movies that exemplify this thing. Adam Wilborn's got a great example.
Mission Impossible 2.
Shut up!
I would like a Mission Impossible 2 comic, actually. The echo for that was incredible, but like... But yes, I have two key examples. One is X-Men The Last Stand, and that movie really, really pisses me off. Not only because X-Men 2 is a fantastic film, based on one of the best X-Men comics of all time, God Loves, Man Kills, and then X-Men 3, they had Kelsey Grammer as Beast, one of the best castings you could ever have. He's basically just Fraser, but furry. And that's Beast, that's fine. And then he gets some really great scenes in the film, and then is completely just misused, and then he never came back. He came back for one little tiny scene in Days of Future Past, and I was just like, oh, that's great. And now he gets replaced by Nicholas Hoult. I'm like, oh, I'm not being mean to Nicholas Hoult. There's a big discrepancy between Kelsey Grammer swathing it up with Shakespeare quotes as Beast and Nicholas Hoult going, Mystique, I'm so sad. And it's just really bad. My main example, though, is Green Lantern, because Green Lantern, in the comics, is one of the most expansive, intelligent mythologies in the entire superhero media. It is absolutely incredible. It could be DC's Star Wars if anyone at Warner Brothers knew what the hell they were doing with the Prophet. Ryan Reynolds as Hal Jordan? Really, we're going to abide by that? No, we're not. Also, our big villain in this film is going to be a giant turd monster, which is literally just a cloud of poo floating through the cosmos. That is not interesting at all. And also, Hector Hammond, the big brain guy. No, it's bad.
Just a man with a headache.
Just a man with a giant head. It's really bad. And you had like Mark Strong as Sinestro, great casting. Jeffrey Rush as Tomar-Ray, again great casting. The late great Michael Clark Duncan as Kilowog. These are all really inspired choices, and yet you turned it into a crappy version of Iron Man with Ryan Reynolds being really. No one escapes that film. Taika Waititi is in that film, and I've only just gotten over that. But it's just, Green Lantern is just, it gets me blood up. It gets my blood up really, really. And you know what? It could have been everything, and then it wasn't. And now we have to wait years for another Green Lantern movie. If anyone ever, for 1 second, entertains the thought of Green Lantern being cool ever again, which they won't, because they think of that damn CGI suit that makes my eyes bleed.
So a film that really, really got my goat and then slaughtered it was the remake of Clash of the Titans. Now, the original film is a technical, cinematic masterpiece. Like the claymation, stop-motion skeletons are literally one of the first instances of cinema as a kid where I just thought, this is magic on screen. Cannot be said of the remake, because there was one scene in particular that I stood up and I was like, that's enough, and I left. And I don't leave cinema because I've paid my money. I want to experience it for good and bad. And that's when they put Bubo, the mechanical owl, they come along him and they see him and they go, oh, what's this? And I'm like, oh, it's the mechanical owl from the first one, that's brilliant. I can have a little fun with their wind-up friend. And then all of a sudden they go, oh, it's a piece of trash, this, and they smash it. They smash it on the ground. They throw it back in the trash. Wilborn's face, you can't see it. That's what I made. It was kind of like, why are you doing that? And I was absolutely fumed. My blood was fizzy at that point. So I got up, I stood up and I was like, that's it, I'm done. And all my friends were like, you're making a scene, sit down. I'm just done. I was like, no, I'm sorry, this is absolute crap. And this guy about 2 rows in front, he turned around and went, yeah, good on you, mate. And then he turned around and then just sat there and I was like, you coming with me or not? Like, just some people, eh? But yeah, Clash of the Titans, that is the film that pissed me off the most, without a doubt.
What is this? Some kind of Suicide Squad? Oh my God, this movie. You see, the thing is, I'm not that much of a, comic book movie nerd. I enjoy them, but I don't know a great deal about them. And, I was thinking when I came here, I was like, Batman vs Superman was terrible. Justice League was one of the worst films I've ever seen. But with them, it's like my parents always say to me, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. Suicide Squad, though, before we came in here, I re-watched the first trailer that came out for that. It is epic. Queen soundtrack in it. You're like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Jared Leto's Joker, all these amazing characters. This looks like it's set up perfectly. And then I went to see the movie, and if well, if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's just awful from start to finish. I know there's all these reports about, well, if you watch this certain cut version, it's actually much more improved and they left all these different things on the cutting room floor. I don't care. The film you put in front of me was god-awful, right? Jared Leto's Joker, whether you think it was good or bad, was just sort of weirdly chucked in, wasn't even the bad guy, wasn't even the thing that the Suicide Squad were coming up against. Instead, they were coming up against the Enchantress, Cara Delevingne's little woman who does that and makes blokes' heads turn into bloody frog spawn or whatever. And then all it was this mad CGI battle at the end between her, all the other guys, half of whom they just went, oh yeah, sod it, we've done a few odd introduction, but we'll just kill them off here and there. And we don't really make you invest in the characters, and we've put all of the good bits and some bits that probably didn't even make it into the movie in the trailer. And then they're like, oh, don't worry though, because here's the big twist. Fucking CGI Mr. Tickles here to get involved with all the rest of the boys. Oh God, I hate it so much. I hate this movie. It made me turn the corner and be like, nah, DC cannot be saved now. They've turned the corner. They have had a with their trousers on. Oh my God, it's such a bad movie.
Well, there's quite a lot of movies. We could go on to about how Black Sheep, little rumpy, crappy film about it's a zombie sheep film, but what we're going to do is just shag these sheep. Oh, don't get me started on that film.
Spoilers.
Yeah, sorry, they shagged the sheep. Then I was thinking, I could just go to Resident Evil 6 and how that's just ruined it all. But people kind of hate those films. But what really pissed me off so much, Dark Phoenix. It's so bad, they took the X-Men out of it at the very last minute. Oh, it's Dark Phoenix, not an X-Men film. That film from start to finish, just uninspiring, boring. You get the nice space bit at the beginning, and after that it's just let's all just sit in alleyways or very cheap locations because it feels like they rushed this, and have they reshot some of the film? And sorry, some of this doesn't make sense where at one point you've just got Magneto just wandering around and somehow having a few fights with all these crappy mutants Wiggly Hair Man that seems to get most of the screen time when you've been with these characters for some of us sure they've been recast for 20 years. I don't want to see Wiggly Hair Man wiggle his hair about when I want to see Magneto and Professor X, and I want to see a good Dark Phoenix film for the first time, of which we didn't get. What's the point? Why would you just do this? This is probably worse than X-Men Last Stand, and that is saying something. X-Men Last Stand is, but at least it's got Sarah McKellen and Patrick Stewart, and it's got a couple other good actors, and even it's got the Juggernaut bitch. This doesn't even have I'm a Juggernaut bitch or the Juggernaut. It just has nothing. It's just soulless, crap, pointless, and I hate the fact that Disney's gobbling everything up, but screw it. They can have it because they ruined it so much.
Right, so there's a couple of films recently that have gotten under my skin, but the one that comes to mind most specifically is 2018's The Open House, which was a Netflix film, so it should have set my expectations from that point onwards, but I thought I'd give it a chance. Got Dylan Minnette in from 13 Reasons Why, let's give it a go, let's put it on. And it starts, and it's your classic spooky, thrillery, let's build up some tension sort of thing, where there's a boy and his mother, their dad has just died, and they've moved to this chalet in the hills that their aunt owns because they've got nowhere to live. They've run out of money, they're struggling in the wake of this death. So they've gone to this chalet. The catch is, the chalet is on the market. It's this lovely mansion, it's wonderful, it'd be a lovely home to live in, so they're trying to sell it. And it has an open house every Sunday. There's your title card. So, every Sunday they've got to leave the house and they come back, and you know what? Weird things keep going on around the house. So, instead of any of them actually dealing with the weird things and talking to each other about it, they keep just noticing things and then not saying anything to each other. So the mom will be like, the pilot light's gone out on the boiler, someone's gonna have to blow this out. And then they just go, okay, yeah, just turn it back on, that's fine. And then there's banging coming from the floor, someone is obviously smacking the ceiling underneath the floorboards. And the boy's just bit of banging going on. His mom says, must just be the pipes, that's fine. Deal with it, that's fine. They ring up the phone, all they can hear is their voices echoing on the phone. And instead of going, oh yes, someone must be in close proximity, which is why you can hear your own voices, they go, that's a bit weird, isn't it? That's a bit weird. And it all culminates and culminates and culminates until someone comes in and lays a candlelit dinner for them and isn't there. And there's just a big load of candles on the table. Nothing is dealt with. They go, right, okay, we might as well carry on staying here. Someone's doing the table for us. And of course, they all die at the end by some random hack some random axe-wielding murderer, but he isn't set up anyway throughout the film, so you get to this point where they're killed off really violently in these like last 10 minutes, but the rest of the film has all been build-up and red herrings for something completely different. Like there's a creepy woman with Alzheimer's who's there going, oh, I've got Alzheimer's, my husband's alive, but he's actually dead, and that doesn't mean anything, it's not relevant. All of the things that are happening throughout the house don't lead to anything, it's just, okay, that was a spooky moment, whoa, I'm very scared. Him running around all the time, because he's a runner, that's not relevant, doesn't matter, nothing matters. All that matters is his last 10 minutes and they die and that's it, and the random person who it is, which has not been led up to and has not been revealed and does not make any sense this film, just goes on to the next open house, and that's the thing, he just sneaks in, people have open houses and kills them. But that's it, that's it. It's a 3.3 on IMDb because none of it makes sense. It is It is so bad. It doesn't make sense, it doesn't have any payoff. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time.
I need to branch these together. The thing that came to mind was Midsommar, which like I tried going with it. I like Ari Aster. I really like Hereditary. I even like super pretentious indie work for the most part. But there's a very specific tightrope, very specific fine line that so many films just fall off, where it turns from being cool, I'm going with this, it's contemplative, it's introspective, and I know I'm getting in the mindset of the characters and I'm trying to figure everything out. And I know I like all that. When it's done well, I can like all that. But when some stuff falls off the other side of it, right next to that other mindset is you're just wasting my time. And like that was the thing with It Comes at Night, which was just nothing. Spoilers for It Comes at Night, nothing comes at night. There's nothing there. They open the door, there's nothing there. What comes at night is fear itself. Cough, it's shit. And so that was one thing. The other thing was Midsommar, which I'm totally with for the vast majority of that movie until that scene, Josh Brown.
I love it.
He loves it. He loves it. And it's like, I get what they're going for. And there's a reading of that film where I totally get that it's a complete breakdown of that all the different broken relationships that people can have during university. And obviously Ari Aster went through something and he kind of made a movie about a breakup. But I don't need to see a big old gangbang with a bunch of pensioners. So like there's no one needs to see that. So like, that was just the moment in that movie particularly where I just audibly went, oh, off. Because it's just like, I get what you're doing, but like sometimes if it's that interpretive where you're having to fill in the gaps that much, then I might as well just make my own movie. And it's like it's that really specific line that some movies can totally walk. Blade Runner walks it expertly, even though sometimes I would argue it takes a bunch of different viewings to get that movie properly anyway or whatever. So many movies go the other way and they really didn't have a plot in the end of it. They really didn't have a message other than a few words on a napkin at the beginning, and it just falls into an abyss. And I hate it. I hate knowing that I've wasted my time and you didn't have an actual ending for this thing at all. And it's all figure it out yourself. No, I'll just not watch anymore. I can just make my own film in that case. That.
Well, for me, I can only get really pissed off if I love something to begin with and then it does something so catastrophically wrong that it completely rubs me the wrong way. And A Ghost Story, for the majority of its runtime, for the opening 45 minutes, I thought it was the best movie I've ever seen. It's like really abstract. It's about Rooney Mara's character after the death of her boyfriend, Casey Affleck, and he kind of haunts her in this sheet. And it's such a good meditation on grief and suffering and loss and moving on. But then halfway through the movie, that stops being kind of what the movie is about, and it stops being completely open-ended, and it jumps through time and it shows you Casey Affleck's ghost not being able to move on, and he's stuck in the house that they lived in while a bunch of other people occupy it. But then there's this one scene about midway through where Will Oldham comes in and he's at a house party and he's kind of this scruffy geezer, and he walks in, he sits down at a table and he just kind of starts mansplaining the movie's thesis to like these people that he's at the table with, and it's so dark and nihilistic and without hope, and he's talking about how nothing matters because all the art you create is going to get lost and how all your kids are going to forget you. And I'm like into some kind of pessimistic views like that, I can kind of relate to that on some level, but the way it's delivered is so kind of right. This is the thesis of the movie and this is what it's about, and all your interpretations before now, they're gone, because we've got this dude, he's going to come in, he's going to talk about 9 minutes about Beethoven, about how his symphonies one day won't at all matter. And I'm just sat there and I'm thinking, this is so frustrating because I could feel myself sinking in the cinema seat when it was happening, just losing the love I had for this movie.
And then also, it's a double element because it made me dislike kind of what I'd seen before then, even though I do think some scenes that are quite controversial, like the pie eating scene, where Rooney Mara eats a pie for 9 minutes, is so moving and poignant and great. But this one just rubbed me the wrong way. And it's because I've been at that house party. I've been in that situation where I've been trying to have a good time, and some indie geezer comes down with his stinking bare feet and he puts them up on the table and he goes, hey, everything's meaningless. Hey, do you want some of my wine? I'm like, no, you're killing my vibes. You are absolutely killing my vibes. I'm here at this house party, and you've waltzed in, stinking, sweating all over the place, telling me about the meaning of life and what life is. And I just thought, nah, you're not talking down to me like this, movie. I'm gonna leave and just pretend the first 45 minutes of this film exists, and then stop it then, and then put the rest in the bin over there somewhere.